Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I got strawberry rhubarb upside down cake. No, I love this. It's easy. I had this kind of dulce de leche cake that had this amazing texture. I'm going to try and do something similar, but it's going to be topped with some strawberry and some rhubarb. So now that we know what we're doing, let's gather our ingredients. First off, you're going to need some rhubarb. I absolutely love this. It's tart. As I got older, I got to appreciate this more. I don't know why. Maybe I was younger. I liked sweeter things, and this is just a lot more balanced. I love it, especially with strawberries. The match made in heaven. You're also going to need some cornstarch, a lemon for some lemon zest. You're also going to need butter, strawberries, granulated sugar, baking powder. I'm going to be using a little bit of chai spice. Absolutely optional. You do not need this. It is going to taste great no matter what. But I like this because it adds a little bit of depth, and chai spice tends to have a little cardamom in it, little floral notes that really bring out that rhubarb and strawberry combo. Also going to need some vanilla extract, flour, all purpose, of course, sour cream, eggs, absolutely optional. You can use any type of red jam. I have some leftover lingonberry jam, so I'm going to be using that. Strawberry, raspberry, red currant. Red currant is amazing. We're just going to brush it on at the end. It's going to add a little nice sheen, kind of bring out that red from the strawberry and the rhubarb. Optional, but I think it makes it look amazing and adds a little bit of flavor as well. I've also gone ahead and taken my 8x8 metal pan. I have sprayed it down, put in a piece of parchment, sprayed it down again. I want this cake coming out. Now that we got our ingredients, let's get started. First things first, we're going to do kind of like the rhubarb topping. We're going to mix that around. Then we're going to make the batter for the cake, pour it on top, get it in the oven. Set your oven to 350 degrees, lower mid-rack, please. So we are going to do, I guess, our topping because it's going to go in the pan first. Let's start with about 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar here. For the cornstarch, 1 tablespoon. For lemon zest, I'd say maybe 1 to 1.5 teaspoons lemon zest. Whisk this around. I'm going to do 2/3 a pound of rhubarb, 1/3 of strawberries. And I'm just going to trim the dried ends off. And any bruised or bad bits, you know, I got one right here. I'm just going to go ahead and take that out. If you have really thick ones like this, just go ahead and give them a cut right down the middle. You want them about uniform size. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut these in between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch. I'm going to try and get them closer to 1/2 inch. Just going to add the rhubarb to that mixture we had. Now it's time for the strawberries. Probably start with, I'm going to do 9 strawberries. I'm going to cut them up, quarter them. If they're big, halve them. If they're small, give them a nice trim. I'm going to go ahead and give this a mix. The cornstarch is in there. Going to kind of gel up all those juices, if you will. I'm going to let that sit for a couple minutes. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be melting a couple tablespoons of butter. Just going to add that in. So while I only need a couple tablespoons, I'm going to melt an entire stick because I'm going to use the remaining butter in my batter. 2 tablespoons. Set this aside. I'll use it later. Now it's time to get it in our pan. Again, sprayed, parchment lined, sprayed again. Let's go ahead and mix this up. Make sure the butter's coating everything. Now press this into the corners and get it down to a nice even layer. You're gonna have to press. Who's in charge? You or the food. Don't worry about hurting the food. Now let it be. Set it aside. Let's make the batter. All right, we're going to start with the dry ingredients. We're going to do a cup of AP flour. I put in about 1.5 teaspoons of the chai spice, and you want about 1/2 teaspoon of table salt. A little bit more if you're using kosher. Table salt, always preferred with baking. And also 1 teaspoon baking powder. Next up, my wet ingredients. I got a cup of sugar. Yes, sugar is a wet ingredient. It's both wet and dry, but the wet ingredient, I also put in 2 eggs. Next up, I'm gonna add the rest of my butter. I melted 8 tablespoons. I used 2 with the strawberry and rhubarb. Now I'm putting the remaining 6 tablespoons melted butter in with this. And finally, a little secret ingredient I'm gonna be using here. This is called sour cream. We're gonna be using 1/2 cup of sour cream here. Remember the zest we used with the strawberry and the rhubarb? Now we're going to be using the rest of that lemon. We're going to put a tablespoon of juice in here. Let's start to whisk it up a little bit. Last but not least, we are going to be adding some vanilla extract. You know me, I love my vanilla extract. I always go a little above and beyond with it. Do a teaspoon if you want. I'm gonna be doing like 2. Whisk all this together, get it pretty smooth. Get any lumps of sour cream out. All right, wet into dry. Whisk it up until there's no streaks of flour. Perfect. Don't worry about lumps. It's like pancakes. They work themselves out. We have our strawberry rhubarb. Now we're just going to put the batter over our strawberry rhubarb mixture. Going to spread it out into the corners, get it into a nice even layer. All right, now it's time to bake strawberry rhubarb. We got our cake batter, 350 oven, lower mid rack. It's going to bake for 45 to 55 minutes. Get it in there, rotate it halfway through. All right, getting ready for the cake, I am going to put a little bit of jam or jelly on top. So a lot of times with desserts, to give them a nice little sheen, you put like apricot jam or jelly on top. I'm going to be using a red one. I have a lingonberry jam that I need to get through, so I'm going to be using that. Raspberry, strawberry also works, but if you really want the cream of the crop, red currant jelly is best. I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons to a jar, heat it up, microwave it, get it loose. If it's not loose enough to spread, add a 1/4 teaspoon of water and get it there. All right, but it should. If it's hot, it should be fine. All right, here's a couple visuals so you know that your cake is right about there. First off, you can always put a toothpick right in the center. If it comes back clean, it's fully cooked. More importantly, I got some bubbling around the edge. Fantastic. Also, it's starting to turn golden brown around the edge. I'm right there. I'm going to let it rest for about 10 minutes inside the pan, and it should soak up some of those juices and kind of finish cooking. All right, the first thing I'm going to do now that my cake is cooled is I'm just going to run my knife around the exterior here, make sure there's no sticking, and we're going to get it out in one fell swoop. Putting a serving platter on top. We're going to do the old flipperoonie. Wish me luck. Is it out? Oh, look at that. Some is falling off the edges. That's okay. We'll clean this up. We're going to let this cool until we're capable of eating it. But in the meantime, if you want, gently take your warm jam and just kind of brush it on. I'm gonna add a nice little red gorgeousness. See how it kind of lost a little bit of color in here? We're gonna fix that. Not to mention when the jam cools, it's gonna solidify again. Now that that's done, I gotta let it cool. You can eat this warm. I intend to. I'm gonna put some ice cream on it, but I gotta set it aside for a little bit so that it cools. All right, the cake has cooled. I'm gonna get a big slice. Look at that. Oh, that's phenomenal. Easy. This was so easy to make. Now we're gonna put a nice big old scoop of ice cream on top. Let's dig in. Look at this. Oh my God. The cake is so tender. You get a little bit of that chai spice, a little bit of that cardamom in that cake. We're gonna add some background floral elements. And then the rhubarb and the strawberry just come. It's just delicious. There's a sweetness there, but it's not sickly sweet. It's balanced. It's tender, moist crumb. The warm cake, the cold ice cream. Yes, please. Thanks so much for watching. That was strawberry rhubarb upside down cake. If you like what you saw, don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Twitch. I'm also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.